I usually I usually brainstorm ideas when I'm in the car, when I'm driving around. I'll be listening to an audiobook, and whatever story I'm listening to will give me an idea. Or I'll just see something out the window, and that will give me an idea. Because I'm focused on driving, obviously. I don't want to crash my car, but my mind's kind of wandering. I know how to drive. I'm listening to a book. My mind is kind of on autopilot. Um, but I haven't had any good ideas recently. I haven't been in a short story writing mode. So I honestly have no idea where I want to start. Uh, and there's a couple things to do if that happens. One is to just start typing something and hope that an idea comes. So um, I usually start with a sentence that pops into my head. Um, it might be something a character says. Sometimes it's a situation that a character is in. Then I can usually build from there and create a story. So, like recently, I did have some ideas. I had a bakery magic story idea, which was based on a picture I saw of a little girl looking in a bakery window. There was a little girl looking in a bakery window. And little girl looking in a bakery window, she was wearing, typical witch attire, the pointed hat and a cloak. So I was thinking about that, and the first thing I thought of was the Harry Potter movies, the Fantastic Beasts. That the character, I don't know his name, has a bakery with bread in the shape of fantasy creatures. The other thing I was thinking about was maybe our little witch has a magic wand or finds a magic wand that can make baked goods. I think some of that inspiration came from Skyrim, maybe? I believe there was some kind of staff, or maybe it was a mod, and you could turn people into sweet rolls, or you could shoot sweet rolls at people. Maybe I imagined it, but I thought that was kind of fun. The Wabajek, is that what it is? Oh, okay, you're here. Babakiss, all right. Yeah, there was definitely a staff, right? They could change people into sweet rolls, I think. So I was thinking about that. Maybe she has a magic wand. and it can make baked goods, but maybe the Wabjack did a lot of things, but one thing it did was turn things into sweet rolls. Yeah, okay. So I am remembering it. So I think that was part of my inspiration for this idea. I thought maybe the little girl finds a magic wand, but maybe she can't control it very well. So she has to practice, or the other idea I had was that it could be much darker. Perhaps the wand changes creatures into baked goods. So my mind makes that connection because there's an old movie called, is it called Soylent Green? Is that what it is? Soylent Green. Yep. Where the product, the food that everyone's eating is not what it appears to be. So that could be kind of fun to write. There's a wand, and she keeps trying to get it to work, and it turns out that she actually has to change other creatures into baked goods. So that creates, that idea, I think it has some tension, and there's definitely character development there, because she has to make a choice whether to use the wand or not, right? Even when she makes that choice, what kind of creature would she change? Would it be monsters, or criminals? Is she some kind of vigilante? I think that's the better idea. Got to keep things organized. Let's see. Bakery. Yeah. This. The things could be in the. They could appear to look like the people, or they could look completely different. I don't know about this one. I like this. It's not a terrible idea. Plant monster story, and then the inspiration for this one. Okay. So what was I doing? I had a line. I had an opening line that popped into my head, which was, feeding the monster, remembering to feed the monster. Was easy at first. That was the line that popped into my head. And I thought that could be a good way to start a story. Remembering to feed the monster. I think there's a lot going on in that opening line. I think. Number one, see, I don't want that there. Oh well. Number one, let's see. Where are all my tools? There we go. Yeah, I want that there. Okay. Remembering to feed the monster was easy at first, right? Number one, we're introducing the monster. This is what the story is about. We've got our main idea. And then I think we have some foreshadowing because we have the at first. So we already know something is going to go wrong. And I think there's also... I think just the choice of remembering is good. Remembering to feed the monster. Because that suggests that it was a chore. Which to me is interesting. It's not life or death. It's just another thing on this person's list of what they have to do every day. But I just didn't get very far with brainstorming this one. I had this image that it would be about a father taking care of children because that's something I know about. And there's a monster in the house. There's some kind of monster. And that was about as far as I got, I think. And there's definitely stuff to explore there. I mean, Babakis, if any of this stuff, if you have any ideas as I'm brainstorming, feel free to say anything, but you don't have to. Yeah, I don't know. About a father taking care of child, there's one. I think. See, the problem that I had was I can't visualize the monster. And that could be okay. Maybe we never see the monster. We could hear, smell, we're not going to taste, feel, probably not. Yeah, maybe feel, like we could feel the house shaking, something like that. I mean, we could get the sensory input and never see the monster. But I hate it. I hate it when you don't when you don't get that final payoff. I mean, it's great to tease and, ooh, there's a glimpse and, oh, what's that? But in the end, we want to see the monster. We want to know the ending. And I had that image of a plant monster. And I guess that could work. I think it boils down to a question of how dark I want this story to be. And that's what I don't know. Are the children at risk because of this monster? Or is there a perceived threat that we can twist? Okay. So now, Hayden, what? That's my son. What a jerk. What is he doing? All right. Or is there a perceived threat that we can twist? Oh man, he's probably like in the kitchen with my whole family, showing them all what I'm doing. What a jerk. All right. So, or is there, maybe there's a perceived threat that we can twist. All right. And I can tell you exactly my thought process. I was still thinking, is the plant a monster? And if the plant is a monster, where is it growing? And I thought, what if the plant monster grows throughout the house? So that could be kind of whimsical and really sort of fantastic, because I think the plant, okay, let's say perhaps a little girl, one of the daughters, is in her bedroom, and the plant, there's a sort of vine that grows into beautiful flowers that rain down some kind of pollen, and other parts of the vine could glow, so that she has a beautiful sort of light display. So that's not dark, right? That's but I think there is tension there, because they don't know what's going to come out of these vines. So there's a perceived threat. Oh, there's these vines growing suddenly throughout the house, and when it opens, there's still this moment of, well, is that safe? Is it a trick? Is it a trap? So that could be kind of fun. And then the other thing I was thinking is, if it's a plant monster, there would be all these perceived threats, but maybe the plant would actually protect the house. So I was thinking about Little Shop of Horrors, and I was thinking when it's small and it looks like this kind of Venus flytrap type plant, and then my mind connected to the game Plants vs. Zombies, where you have plants on your lawn protecting you from zombies, and I thought, oh, well, maybe the plant would do that. It would actually protect them. So I was thinking about Plants vs. Zombies. That's a possibility for the ending. It depends. It depends on a lot of things. It's a good starting point, I think. But I think it really comes down to the plant. Let's call it the plant monster. I guess I've decided it's a plant. There's always the question of where did it come from? Which asks the question, what's our setting? Are we going for a fantasy, like a high fantasy setting, or are we going for, let me just do verses. Are we doing high fantasy, or am I doing a kind of magical realism? I mean, all my ideas, the game Plants vs. Zombies, that's it's a game, but it's kind of a magical realism. It's the real world. Little Shop of Horrors, that's the real world. But then there's options there. If it's our world, then again, I think of Gremlins. I think there are rules for taking care of this plant. And they could have gotten it from some mystical looking shop. And that could be part of the charm as well. The dad might be sent shopping, and just goes into the first semi gardening store he sees, and it's this mystical place. That could be kind of fun. I don't know. I'm really torn. If it's a fantasy world, then I think it's easier, because you can do anything you want. If it's a fantasy world, then I can just, it could be a plant from across the ocean. from some faraway land there's a lot of possibilities there. All right, so my brain's going too fast. It could be a plant from across the ocean, from some faraway land. And I'm thinking, accidental discovery or given on purpose. And I'm thinking a point of tension could be that they learn, midway through that the faraway land was destroyed. And maybe we don't know. Was it the plants or was it not the plants? It could just seem like this innocuous bit of information. Oh, buy this plant. It's from this faraway kingdom, which is no longer there. It no longer exists. And so you won't see another plant like this because this kingdom's gone. And we think, oh, this guy's just trying to make a sale. It makes me think of Jack and the Beanstalk. That idea of a perceived bad deal, right? Oh, you traded the cow for 3 magic beans. Oh, you bought this stupid plant or seed. It could be a magic seed. So maybe, yeah, I'm already thinking of Jack and the Beanstalk. And then it ends up not destroying everything. But okay, so I think the one idea for the climax, for the ending, is the plant doing something that could be seen as dangerous. For example, at the end of the story, it opens, seed pods or flowers start. It opens seed pods or flowers start sending. They start sending seeds across the land. So suddenly, this one plant that throughout the story you think, is it safe? Is it good? Is it bad? Oh, it seems good. And then there's some kind of hints. There's news about this other kingdom, and we need the reader to know, okay, yes, this could be dangerous. But because the family is kind and loving, the plant is positive for them. But then because it's sending seeds out across the land, that's the end. Oh, what's going to happen? The plant is going to take over. Demon's luck. So I had this idea. Here's what I wrote down. I wrote down a man who stole luck from a god or demon and carries its beating heart in a jar. I have no idea where I got that idea. I'm sure I was reading something or watching something and had the idea. I really liked that idea, though. The problem is I felt like this could be a novel. It doesn't feel like a short story. That feels like, just that small idea to me feels like a world that I can create. A world where people can steal attributes from gods or demons by, ripping out their heart or something, or whatever. It doesn't even have to be a god or a demon. But I liked the idea of a demon, because then you have your threat. There's a demon, and this guy stole its heart. He has its beating heart. And so the demon is obviously going to come to get its heart back. So this person, even though they have the demon's luck, well, how does that work? I think the idea was luck. It was based on luck. Because I read a story that had something to do with luck. Oh, God, I wish I could remember. I know I'm reading... I think I said before, I'm reading The Black Tongue Thief right now. And the character in there, he can feel when luck is with him. So he can't manipulate the luck in any way, but he can feel it. But I'm pretty sure I read a book where I thought that the person could somehow, luck was sort of this tangible force. Maybe I'm thinking of Mistborn, because she thinks she has the ability to tap into luck, but she's wrong. Maybe that's where it came from. But I don't think so. This is a recent idea, and I read Mistborn several years ago. I should have written down where I got the idea from. It doesn't really matter where it came from. Okay, so I had that. And I have some book notes. Book notes. Is that it really? Oh, I have this one. Yeah, this was another... I never wrote these things down. I had this idea of a man with keys, and people come and get keys from him until he finally steals the master key and sets off on his own adventure. And I can tell you, let's call this keys. We'll call this Demon's Luck. Keys. I can tell you exactly where this idea came from. This came from Matrix. Matrix Reloaded. But I had this idea that he could exit through a special door that freezes time. So he can oil locks and hinges, maybe add oil to torches. Like he would have all these jobs to do. And so he gets to go out into the world, but everything's frozen. He doesn't get to actually experience the world. Nothing's moving. Everything's just frozen. So he wouldn't be able to hear any noises. He wouldn't be able to smell anything. Everything would literally be frozen so that like even the scent molecules wouldn't be able to go into his nose. That's sort of the idea I had. And that's all I had. But I thought that could be a book or a story. Probably a short story. I don't know. If it was a book, it would have to be. I mean, it could be a book, I suppose. If it was a story, it would be about. Or actually, people wouldn't come and get keys. I think one job would be to leave keys in special places. So, for example, a group of adventurers set out on a quest, and they enter a dungeon and find a key, but are then slain before they can finish the quest. So our main character would retrieve. He would have to retrieve the key, which would often be in what do I want to say? It would often be in I'll say humorous locations. Okay. Like the bottom of a spike trap, right? Like it's at the bottom of a pit with spikes, or inside some creature's stomach because it swallowed the adventurer who had the key. So our poor main character has some special tools or something, and he has to, reach into the stomachs of these frozen monsters and pull the key out or something. I don't know. I mean, he could have some magic device that resets the keys. There's so many possibilities there, but I like the tactile that he has to actually reach down inside. That could be kind of fun. Okay, so basically, I would say if it was going to be a short story, it would need to be. I mean, a short story would work, right? It would have to be so tightly focused on wanting to get out of this situation and then getting out of it, and then, escaping, or realizing that he's right where he wants to be. Either of those could work. Why did I indent this so much? If it was a book, though, I think you could really explore the world. Oh, excuse me. I hope that the microphone doesn't pick up my burps. I always burp after I drink coffee. So I shouldn't be drinking coffee when I'm going to be streaming, because then I'm going to be burping when I'm making videos and streaming. That's not a good idea. Okay. Really explore the world. Yeah. I mean, if it's a book, you have this character who can sort of go through magic doors and appear all across the world in all these really wondrous places. And I think when he escapes, or does he escape? Well, I think when he escapes, there would need to be some kind of threat. Whoever is in charge of him would come looking for him. So which I think could definitely tie into the idea of a master key. I'm streaming right now. I don't want you to be on the video. I'm sorry. What is it? Well, I'm just writing, and then when I'm writing, I'm streaming so that I can make videos of it, so that I can find other people who like writing and then have fun doing it. All right. Jeez. Sorry. Okay. Tie into the. Okay, so you could tie that into the idea of a master key, because it would hold the boss's power, basically. So they wouldn't be able to find him. Yeah, I don't like... That's going to be hard for me to read when I come back. I mean, things don't need to look pretty when you're brainstorming. I like to try to keep things somewhat organized, because otherwise I come back to my notes and I think, oh, what does this mean? I don't remember. That could be kind of cool. There's a master key and the boss can't find him. But then my mind immediately goes to, maybe the boss doesn't want to find him. Maybe this was all part of the boss's plan, and the book or story would end with the boss welcoming in a new assistant. That could be a nice ending to either one. But there's also the idea that if it's a book, and he has this master key that has power in it, he might get kidnapped and become the unwilling center of world events. suddenly he's swept up because he has this powerful artifact, this key, and there are treasures locked away that people want, and if they can get them, they can become the most powerful nations in that world. And with this single key, this master key, they can unlock every door, pass through dangerous dungeons. I mean, there's so many possibilities with that. And I kind of like that idea. That I really like the idea that he's not a hero. I mean, he's the everyman, and he just wants to sort of do the right thing, do the best that he can. He wants to live his life and experience the world. Instead of him being some highly trained killer, that could be really fun. That could be very fun. That's if it's a book. That's something I might have to explore. Was that the last of my notes? I think it was. A story, the treasure about all the man who must have died for some concrete. A novel where the friend. Yeah. That's about all I had, I think. Hold on. She told her story, but she didn't care about where she had. I think the rest of this is just. Yeah, it's all notes about novels, things I don't want to forget. That's pretty good. What do I got? I got keys, demon's luck. I've got the plant monster story, bakery magic story. That's pretty good considering I honestly had no idea when I sat down what I was going to write. So the first one is I'm going to call her the sweet roll. The sweet roll witch. I like that image of the sweet rolls. Number 2 was the plant monster. We'll call it the plant monster. Number 3 was the demon's heart. I'm going to add luck because otherwise I won't remember. That idea of luck. I really like that idea. I've seen that. I've seen that a lot. Harry Potter. He had a potion that he could drink that would make him lucky, and he tricked Ron with it. I remember that. I think there was a character in Deadpool 2 who her superpower was that she was lucky. So it's definitely been used before. But I think that's an original idea. The idea that you would steal the luck from some other being, and why would you do that? Like, what would drive you to do that? And then what was the fourth one that I was doing? The keys. Yeah, the key. Master key. Okay. That's pretty good. But that's 4 strong ideas, but I'm gonna say this one I would definitely want to explore as a book. Master Key could go either way. The Plant Monster, I think, would be good as a short story. And I think the Sweet Roll Witch would be good as a short story. Probably. A little girl who stumbles across a wand which can change living things into sweet rolls. I mean, I like all three of these ideas, and I do like this idea for a book. I'm gonna say no to the Master Key one because I don't know if I would rather write that as a book or a short story. That's something I'm gonna have to really sit down and think about. I have a feeling that it could be a fun book. But then I also start getting kind of meta. I start thinking, oh, what if this could be a character who connects to my other fantasy novels? Because I always liked that idea. Stephen King, the Dark Tower series, his books are connected, right? He was doing that before Marvel. Or he got the idea from the Marvel comic books, right? But the movies, they didn't start doing that until, recently. But that's where I saw it for the first time, was in the Dark Tower, Stephen King's novels, and all these connections between them. And I always liked that idea. And then more recently, Brandon Sanderson does it. He has his Cosmere novels, which he has some characters that travel to different books, different worlds, basically. I don't need to do that, but I do like the idea of this character possibly traveling between books. That could be a secondary novel. Like the first novel is about his own world, and then it could get larger from there. I mean, that could be a trilogy. That could actually be a really interesting trilogy. See, I just my mind won't stop. I mean, I like the idea of the first book. He's this everyman, and then in the second book, he's exploring other worlds, and then in the third book, he's the one that's in charge. He's the boss. He is this sort of overseer who he's not supposed to interfere, but he meddles in little ways. It reminds me also of what was the connection that I just made in my mind? Oh God. No, I already lost it. Well, I mean, obviously, Rick and Morty, they have portals and they travel to other worlds. But there was another thing I was thinking of. Something very similar. Yeah, but I've lost it. Oh well. So yeah, I'm not gonna write a short story about that. So then it's a question of the Sweet Roll Witch or the Plant Monster. Now, if we look at the brainstorm, the Sweet Roll story, I have about a page of really brief ideas. But then the Plant Monster story, I had obviously a lot more. So I feel like that's the one that I want to explore. But here's a problem that I always have when I'm writing a short story. Anytime I start a short story with a line that popped into my head, I always backtrack. I can't tell the story just moving forward from that line. My mind automatically starts brainstorming backwards, thinking, oh, where did this monster come from, and all these sorts of things. And that's not really something you want to do. That's not something I want to do in a short story. I want to start the story where it starts. I don't want to go back and not start. I said start too many times. And explore the past. I mean, little bits are okay, but I have a tendency to start the story and then suddenly jump back, and it takes you out of the immediacy of this story that you're entering into. I don't want to do that. Oh, so I can see. I don't understand what is. See, I'm doing it again. I'm looking at things that I shouldn't be looking at. This is interesting. Okay. So what was I saying? Yeah, I always backtrack. So if I'm gonna use the line "remembering to feed the monster was easy at first," I can't start the book, the story, with that line, because okay, no, I can't, because the history of the plant and where it came from can be explored through dialogue. It's pretty obvious if you really think about it, but I'm thinking about where can I start this story, and one option is this father character, and he's going out shopping. Oh, where's this plant? Where am I going to buy these seeds for my wife's garden? And he sees this shop and he thinks that looks good, and he goes in there. Well, that seems like a good place to start the story. I could start there, and I might start there. That's one option. Start with shopping, trying to find seeds for wife's garden. Okay, but again, then I'm thinking of that it's a. I keep thinking of it as a real world story, and I don't want to do the real world angle. Unless I do both. I could do both. That could also be interesting. I could write one that's set in the real world, and I could write one version that's set in a fantasy world, and then show the differences. So, but again, even if it's the fantasy setting, you can start with the shopping, and I think that's it's so different. I think that's what I'm going to end up doing. If I'm going to start with this, okay, I don't need to talk about that. The history of the planet can be explored through dialogue. I can start with shopping, all right? And I could write a story set in a fantasy world and a story set in our world. Start both with the same sort of opening scene. Slightly different names and appearances, probably. And then show how they sort of diverge based on the setting. That could be kind of fun. Especially if I'm going to stream. If I'm going to stream the story, then I can have one version of the story that's entirely online. It can be, people can watch the stream and they can see the story actually develop, and then on my own I can write the other version of the story and then, you know, do something with it. Try to get it published somewhere, and then let people know where they can read it. That would be kind of cool. Yeah, I like that idea. I really like that idea. So I think, yeah, starting with shopping is better. Because otherwise, if I start with, I'm going to make it big, the line, right? The line of dialogue that I thought of. If I start with that line, then I can explore the history of the plant through dialogue, as I set up here. And there's nothing inherently wrong with that, but I think it really changes the story. And again, if I'm gonna write two versions of the same story, I could start them in different ways. I could start one story with the line, and I could start another story with the shopping. Because if I'm starting with that line, we talked about that line. I really like that line. Like I said, it introduces the monster as the main idea. There's some foreshadowing, and there's this idea that it's just kind of a chore at first, before things start to get, you know, hinky and out of control and weird. So I feel like it is a really nice opening line. Starting with the line, I can explore the history of the plant through the dialogue. My fear, the negative, my fear is uh, you lose a setting. You lose that shop or market setting. If the story starts in the market, then we have this very vibrant setting. Unless he's in kind of a dark alley, but also that's kind of a fantasy staple. Ooh, what's in this creepy alley? And there's a guy who opens his cloak. I've got seeds. That could be kind of cool. And we would kind of lose that if he's telling it through dialogue. He's just a regular guy. He's not going to be this amazing storyteller. Especially his wife would be sort of pushing him for details, like, "Oh, where'd you get these seeds?" "Oh, I got it from a guy." "What guy? Where?" "Oh, at the market." "Did he have a stall?" "Oh no, he was in a dark alley." What? Like, there's definitely, there's such a big difference between revealing the history of the seeds through the dialogue and starting the story with the buying of the seeds. I think the dialogue could be kind of funny. The dialogue is kind of it's quick. Dialogue is quick. It's snappy, right? Husband and wife talking, and maybe the kids are listening and they overhear. There's a lot that you can do with the dialogue. Yeah, that's pretty fun. I like that. But at the same time, if I start in the market, I get to really paint a beautiful picture of this market. And I think you can already start doing a lot of, there's a lot of, I need to change this. Okay. No, okay. You can paint a picture of the setting, right? You can really paint a picture if you start with the shopping. And I believe I could easily introduce the main character's situation, right? He's thinking about the family. What do they need from the market? What would the children like? What do they always pester him to buy that he sees out of the corner of his eye? So we're already learning about the family that we haven't even seen yet. Same thing with the house. He could be thinking about their home, walking through the market. Oh, I need to buy this to fix a hole in the wall. There's such a story in a house, and the little things that go wrong with it, and the children breaking things, drawing on walls, getting too big, and now they need something new. There's so much happening there. So starting with the shopping, we have all of that. If we start with that line, we've got some foreshadowing, some tension. So very, very, very different. Very different. So which one do I want to start with first? Which one do I want to start with first? I feel like starting with the line that I wrote, I feel like I'm going to trap myself. I know myself. This is difficult. I don't know what I want to do. Uh, I mean, I said I can write both stories. I like the idea of starting with the shopping as the fantasy story. I'll say high fantasy. High fantasy meaning it's it's not our world. It's a completely other world. I like that idea of the high fantasy for him shopping because dark alleyways, stalls, vendors selling fruits. It could be near the water and there's fish. I mean, there's so many different places you could set that market. And it could be something really fantastic. But I definitely like the idea of the high fantasy story starting with the shopping. I definitely like this idea of a dark, oh geez, I still have caps lock. A dark alley, a figure selling seeds in little pouches. In his cloak, right? I think we all know that figure. We see it in cartoons, in animations. They open the coat and they have stolen watches or something. I'm assuming that this is something that people really did once upon a time, or it was just in a movie and then became a trope. But I like that idea. I like the idea that he has seeds. The seeds are this sort of illicit thing. I mean, and that could play into the world building aspect. Obviously, there are issues in our world with seeds. You're not supposed to take them to other countries because you can cause problems. You're not supposed to have a bunch of seeds in your pocket when you're on a plane and then plant them when you go to another country. I mean, there's literally a question on the customs form, right? About have you been to a farm or something like that? Customs form questions about farms? Bringing, yeah. We want certain items. Oh, I wish I could see travelers. Yeah, you have to declare fruits, vegetables, plants, cut flowers, meat, animal products, and live animals. Foreign insects, plant, and animal diseases, and invasive plants can be harmful to United States agriculture. Yeah, there's literally, I think, a question on the form asking about have you. But I haven't traveled for a long time, so I don't remember. Have you been to a farm or something? Do you have any seeds? I mean, you could just have muddy shoes and just stick the seeds in your muddy shoes. And you could probably get it, and no one would know. Don't do that. Disclaimer. Don't smuggle seeds into other countries by sticking it into your shoes, into your muddy shoes. That's disgusting and wrong. Okay. All right, so a dark alley. We got this dark alley. I like that. And then the other one, if I start with the line, and if I'm going to explore the history of the plant through dialogue, then I feel like it should be a magical realism story. And the main reason for that is because I was already thinking about the dialogue. And I like the idea of a husband and wife uh, having a semi-hushed conversation in a mild panic because the seed has grown into a monster plant, basically. I like the idea of the children listening in from the other room and interjecting. I like the I like the image of the wife exasperated by her husband. This is the sitcom trope. Um, the wife that just, oh, I can't believe, why did he do that? I feel like that could be fun. Um, and him just kind of, no, I didn't think, I don't know, I don't know where to go shopping. Where was I supposed to go? And she's like, go to Kmart, go to, where do people shop? Walmart? Where do you guys go shopping for? It's weird over here in South Korea. We have the farming stores near us is really small. It's really, really small. But I will say the things that they sell are good quality. I mean, it has to be, because if it wasn't, they would go out of business. Everyone would drive somewhere else. But it's really small. I mean, it's the size of, it's probably smaller than your average coffee shop in America. But yeah, I like that I just like that conversation when he's finally talking about where the seeds came from. That would be really fun. That would be very fun. Yeah, that would be great. Now, why can't I get... There we go. Very, very fun. The image of the wife is... Okay. Yeah. But then, okay, so then the question is, which one do I want to do? Which one do I want to do on stream, and which one do I want to write on my own? I think this one. I think the high fantasy story. This is the one that I should do on stream, because that's the style of fantasy that I'm more comfortable with. That's what I am usually writing. I don't tend to write much magical realism. There's so much magical realism. It's kind of disappointing if you look at a list of the best fantasy novels. Chances are it's probably not that much high fantasy, unless you're looking at a list specifically of high fantasy. I feel like if you just go looking for fantasy, it's a lot of magical realism. It's things like Harry Potter. It's our world, but with magic. I feel like I don't want to. I don't want to. Personally, I think that magical realism is too easy. For me, I want a challenge. If I didn't want a challenge, then I wouldn't write high fantasy and especially work on world building. I could write high fantasy and use creatures that we all know. I could have dwarves, I could have orcs, I could have goblins, I could have, things like that. Um, I don't want to do that. I feel like that's too easy. I feel like that's not interesting for me personally. Um, Magical realism, it's the same. I feel like I could look around my house and I could come up with 100 stories about how it could be a different world. I like reading magical realism, but I tend not to write it. I'm trying to think. I have one story I wrote where I don't know. I think the closest I generally get to magical realism is there's our world and then the character travels into some other world. So it's not really our world that has the magical element. The character has to go to some other place. They're on another plane of existence. But yeah, so I think the high fantasy story, if I do that on the stream, I can really I'll feel more comfortable because I know how to start building a world and start creating rules for that world. There doesn't have to be a lot for a short story. I don't think there's going to be any magic. But maybe. Maybe. It just depends. It has to fit. It has to really fit into the story. So yeah, so that'll be the plan. So then I think sometime soon I'll have to start writing this. It's going to have to be as often as possible. I would say every other day if possible. Because otherwise, if I'm only doing it once a week, I'm going to forget. I'm going to lose my train of thought. So I'll have to put a schedule on my channel. And I'll have to think about what days I could do it. Every other day should work. Because then tomorrow I haven't decided what I want to do. I really enjoyed playing Dark Souls 2 and talking about the inspiration. That was the other idea that I had. I was playing Dark Souls 2 and I was thinking about the cartographer. There's the character who he loves maps. He's a cartographer. And I thought that was a really interesting character. I thought there's a lot of possibilities for someone who is just absolutely obsessed with maps or is cursed to roam the land and create maps. I think there's a lot of stuff you can do. You can have magic maps. You can have some sort of magic eye. I mean, If you want to get a little dark, you could literally have the character's eye pulled out and a magic eye stuck in, or they could have some kind of sigils around their eye that activate some kind of magic. There's so much. There's so much you can do with something like that. I hope you enjoyed that video. Look in the description down below. There's a lot more that you can find. My blog, my self-published novel. I have a stream on Twitch, and there are a lot of other YouTube videos. From the Height of a Mind, I'm Mike.